Alvin Tan, President of SMF, Dennis Mark, CEO, and all of your excellencies, welcome back to Singapore. I hope many of you have had some time off during the break, and to many of you who have traveled from afar, a warm welcome, well actually a cool welcome to Singapore, because we've had a very cool start to the year. It's an honor to be back at the Singapore Manufacturing Federation's Manufacturing Day Summit. We did that last year. It was the inaugural MDS, and so you've done so well last year. Lennon and Dennis mentioned that now you are stepping it up, and I understand maybe the ambition is to do it maybe 2-3 days. And that at least speaks to the commitment to manufacturing and also the bullishness about our manufacturing sector. Now, MDS, as Lennon has coined it, is an important platform. In fact, it's a vital platform for our manufacturing sector, for many of us to come together, exchange ideas, and also to shape the future of manufacturing. So thank you, Lennon and your team. I know there's a lot of work behind the scenes. Audrey, Melvin, and the team, Ryan, all of you put together this remarkable platform. So maybe a round of applause to the hardworking SMF team, please. Well, manufacturing, as many of you know, is a key building block for any society. If you look around us, you look around to the coffee that you had this morning, the food that you've enjoyed, food manufacturing, it accounts for almost everything that we use, see, touch, and feel. And that's why it's such a cornerstone for society. And as we celebrate 60 years of Singapore's independence this year, we also celebrate and remember how manufacturing has played such an integral role in the building of our fledgling nation. So I thought it would be useful. I know the manufacturing sector is very forward-looking, very forward-leaning, and very innovative, but we still have not managed to manufacture a time machine. But let me use a time machine to bring us back 60 years to look at the history of manufacturing in Singapore, the present of manufacturing in Singapore, and then we try to identify and shape the contours of manufacturing here in Singapore. First, let's hop into our time machine, and hopefully some of you will come up with a time machine, hopefully in a DeLorean. If any of you watch Back to the Future, that belies many of our ages. But let's zoom back to the 1960s. The 1960s, of course, Singapore gained independence in 1965. But when we first started in the 1960s, our focus then was to create jobs. Our population was still relatively small, but fast growing. So the jobs and the manufacturing sector was very much labor intensive. And then we would set up the Jurong Industrial Estate, which became home to factories such as our national iron and steel mills and the sugar industry of Singapore. So those were the 1960s. Then we step up the gear, go on to the 1970s to the 1980s. And that was when we wrote the first wave of Industry 3.0 through that period of time, 1970s to 1990s. We then gradually pivoted from very labor-intensive to more knowledge-based industries. And then also directed more of our resources, it was growing then, much better, to research and development. And that spell, we attracted foreign investment from leading tech companies at that time, such as Hewlett-Packard, Dennis will know them very well, Philips, and Maxtor. In fact, Philips and Maxtor, my father used to work for Philips and Maxtor. And I think many of our contemporaries, our parents, our friends, you would know that when they came in, they provided very, very good jobs. Even if, for example, people like my father had no university education, it helped to upskill them, create good jobs, and boost our manufacturing sector. Then we also built Jurong Island, and it is said to be one of the world's leading chemical manufacturing sites, and also building that chemical manufacturing capability as well. In our time machine, we now move to the 2000s. In the 2000s, we pushed further towards innovation-intensive activities and increasingly higher value manufacturing, effectively moving up the manufacturing value chain. So we renewed our focus on biomedical sciences manufacturing with now many large pharmaceutical companies establishing plants to produce new vaccines and therapies. Our aerospace industry also took flight, literally and figuratively, as companies started to manufacture aircraft components for cabin interiors, and our MRO sector also started to grow. And then in recent years, we moved to now the 2010s to where we are today. In recent years, Industry 4.0, I mean, it's wax lyrical, we've heard it not ad nauseum, but Industry 4.0 became very synonymous with smart manufacturing. And it saw the rise of highly automated factories where the focus was on making processes and the manufacturing process effectively more seamless, more integrated, more precise, more efficient, and to apply cutting-edge technology to the traditional manufacturing process. Many of you already apply this to your businesses, robotics, AI, 3D printing. Professor, you just met our 3D printers at NTU, you mentioned, and also smart sensors, IoT, Internet of Things. All of these in concert have transformed the manufacturing sector. Factories now house next-generation tech like digital twins and predictive maintenance, enabling us to predict and be more efficient in applying manufacturing, but also in terms of repairs work. So you predict, and so you reduce inventory costs, for example. Our manufacturing journey, ladies and gentlemen, has been thus very long, but in fact quite fruitful. And we can be proud of how far our manufacturing journey has taken us over the last 60-odd years. Today, manufacturing maintains a steady share of GDP, about 20%. And as Lennon mentioned, MTI's Manufacturing 2030 plan is to grow the manufacturing sector's value add by 50% by 2030. So we remain bullish on manufacturing. It's just making sure that it is higher value add, and as our journey through time has seen, that's where we are headed, that's where our trajectory is headed. If we look at now at 20% of GDP, it employs about 12% of our workforce. 20% of GDP employing 12% of our workforce. So like how Philips and Maxtor, and in fact, chartered industry for my mother, women in manufacturing, it employs people, it produces good jobs. From plant technicians to now also sales professionals and also engineers. In fact, we are the 5th largest exporter of high-tech goods, 5th largest exporter, and among the top 10 exporters of machinery and equipment. We are also leaders in several high-value industries, such as pharmaceuticals and semiconductors, a point that Lennon made earlier on. Let me unpack what Lennon had said earlier on our semiconductor sector. Well, Singapore is small, obviously, but despite our small size, our semiconductor equipment industry, so for example, your filters and the likes that are quintessential and essential for the production of these chips, they account for 20%, a fifth of global output. That's semiconductor equipment manufacturing. We also produce 4 of the world's top 10 drugs, so semiconductors, pharmaceuticals. And you'll know that many of the leading manufacturing firms have set up their regional headquarters here, including behemoths like Micron, Merck, and Rolls-Royce. But if Industry 4.0 was about creating greater value through automation and data technologies, then our future is about recentering the human into the processes. In other words, Industry 5.0. So let's now see what we can do to shape that contours of that future, which, in all honesty, is already here. So beyond the mechanical precision and automation of smart machines, which many of us use and are accustomed increasingly now to every day, distinctive human abilities, creativity, problem solving, adaptive reasoning, these will and continue to form the backbone of innovative and a thriving manufacturing sector. Can't take the humans out of manufacturing. Because these very quintessential human abilities cannot be replaced by artificial intelligence. And also, rather than being replaced by automation, workers can and indeed have become value partners in the manufacturing process to drive a continuous improvement and innovation across product lines. And we can now increasingly use human-robot collaborations to further push the frontiers of manufacturing. Which brings me to the theme that was outlined by Lennon earlier on about smart collaboration, humanizing the future of manufacturing in the age of AI. So let's do a thought experiment. Think of a future of manufacturing driven by humans and machines working together. In fact, you don't have to think about this in the future. You can visit many of our plants here in Singapore. But think about how these factories will look like. And in fact, if you visit, and I visit many of our plants here, you will see that it's already increasingly futuristic. But then imagine that you are in one of these plants and you are tasked with developing a product in one of the world's leading electronics firms. And because you are in a leading electronics firm, your firm is very bullish. You are now receiving a lot of highly customized, highly personalized orders with very unique requirements. So it's not just run-of-the-mill, it's very customized, highly specialized requirements. You receive the orders, and your task now is to produce many of these quickly, efficiently. With Industry 5.0, these make-to-order, configure-to-order, and assemble-to-order orders will be increasingly common. At the assembly line, you will focus then on more cognitive-intensive work and activities. You, as the lead on the ground, you will review requirements from customers, then design and customize products, and also plan these workflows. Very quintessential human abilities. And what does the AI do? The AI applications will further help you optimize these products and workflows. So your role will change. It's iteratively feeding data back into the manufacturing process to make quick changes to improve your design, the fabrication, and also the performance of your manufacturing process. So these human-centric collaborative robots, sometimes people call them cobots, can help you with then the actual assembly of the products. They will handle the physically demanding tasks, such as loading and unloading heavy equipment and parts, welding and screwing. And all you do is now focus on supervising these cobots and then intervene if necessary, quite unlike a pilot on a commercial flight. But while you are keeping an eye on these cobots, you can perform other higher value tasks. You design new products, renew orders, do again what humans are best made to do. But as your day progresses, your assistive wearables can help boost your productivity and reduce fatigue. You can wear an exoskeleton suit, for example, which helps you lift heavier parts. I don't know how many of you have tried this exoskeleton suit. I've tried one. During National Day Parade, our soldiers were equipped with one to carry heavy loads. But last year, I think the year before, I was in the Hyundai Motor Group's Innovation Center, HMGIX, in Jurong Bulim. And we saw they were producing these Ioniq 5s and Ioniq 6. And if you were a mechanic, I was a mechanic in the army, it's very difficult to repair your tank sitting up because either you have very strong arms like former Minister Serlak here, very fit, or you have huge concentration. But what the exoskeleton did for the manufacturing of the Hyundai Ioniq 5 was this. This technician, wearing an exoskeleton suit, was doing this, And if he wanted to relax, he just relaxed. Because the exoskeleton suit was able to enable him to relax, hold his arms there, and he continues to do it. For any of you who worked on automotive, or for me as a tank technician in the army, you find that really, really quite incredible. But if you see what happened in advanced manufacturing plants as well, the Hyundai Group has this robot, Spot, from Boston Dynamics. And they are equipped with a camera and with AI to help the technician there identify issues within the undercarriage of the car. So these are just examples that we are seeing already happening in Singapore. These are real. These are examples of human-robot exoskeleton collaboration. Now, I end with some suggestions and how we can work together with SMF to ensure that we can move forward and to shape the contours of what we already see Industry 5.0. First, as you are already doing, we must together strengthen the ecosystem. We must continue to strengthen the ecosystem. Many of you, when I spoke to you earlier this morning, you asked why Singapore, maybe why Singapore, 20% manufacturing? Is it our strength? No, it's not our strength. Our strength lies in an ecosystem. Our strength lies in an ecosystem, of which manufacturing is a key part, but finance, professional services, the whole ecosystem, startups, fintech and the likes come together. And that's why later on, I think, Lennon, we are going to sign some MOUs together with our IHLs, polytechnics and the likes. So the ecosystem is a strength, and building this ecosystem is key. For instance, Singapore launched a sectoral AI Center of Excellence for Manufacturing just a few months ago to bring industry players together to develop AI-enabled solutions. That's just one example, in addition to what you are doing later on. The second, besides a strong innovation, we need a culture of innovation. We need to continue creating new products and services, customized, highly personalized, fast to market, and attract and continue to anchor innovative mandates from leading firms to produce and to improve our ecosystem. And finally, and most importantly, we need good people, essential to our manufacturing sector. People with not just the right skills, but the right mindsets and the behavior. And firms that invest in people through training and reskilling to thrive in this Industry 5.0 era. And speaking to Ryan earlier on, we also need to challenge some of these notions about manufacturing as a blue-collar job. I think no more. There are many, many different industries, such as tech and finance, that are infused with the manufacturing sector, and I think we see already the transformation. And the increasing use of tech and generation of higher value jobs will make manufacturing hopefully even more exciting and attractive, particularly to our younger set of graduates coming into the stream. But we also need to promote diversity and inclusion in the sector. For older workers, I talked about maybe assistive tech can put less strain physically and to also boost productivity. But I'm also very happy that SMF, and I think Phyllis is also working on raising female representation in what is considered a typically male-dominated sector to grow our range of talents and perspectives. So Phyllis, please support Phyllis and her Women in Manufacturing initiative this afternoon, and I think we can really up that level. Finally, we also acknowledge that Singapore is a cosmopolitan city, and for a variety of talent to come together to produce great goods and services. So we're always welcoming, always open, always connected. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for having me. I invite all of you to join us, join SMF and the team to continue to realize our vision of a dynamic and vibrant manufacturing sector. Thank you for your attention this morning.